making stuffed peppers and tomatoes. For me, this is one of the best examples of a dish that is really virtuous, but really seductive. What I'm doing here is just scoring my tomatoes. I'm gonna use all this pulp in my rice filling. You wanna leave enough of the skin intact so that when you stuff it, it's substantial enough, it's thick enough around the edges to hold the filling. Just gonna clean the last of my peppers. And you wanna use bell peppers for this because they're big enough to fit the rice filling. So there's one little trick that is a Greek grandmother's trick. You always add a little bit of sugar because the tomatoes are quite acidic, and salt in both the peppers and the tomatoes. Turn them over, and you let the juices on the inside of the tomato just drain out. The real secret to this dish is what's going on right here in this pan. The onions are what give these luscious stuffed tomatoes and peppers that beautiful sweetness. A little bit of garlic. This is also going right in. I'm just gonna give it a stir together with my onions to soften it up. And next in the pan, the rice. So that's going right in. It's very important to cook the rice just a little bit without any liquid, just with that sweetness, the sweet juices of the onion. Next in here are my tomatoes. Just a little bit of salt, a little pepper. Now I am gonna add a little bit of water. You eyeball it a little bit. The tomatoes are always a little bit different. Some of them are juicier than others. And right after I add my water, I add a little bit of white wine. I'm just gonna let this cook down a little bit. It'll take about 8 minutes or so. I want the rice to be a little bit crunchy, and I want most of this liquid to have cooked off. My rice filling is cool. And now I can finish it with all these gorgeous ingredients here. Greek raisins. I've toasted up a bunch of pine nuts here. What else is going in here? 3 different herbs. Dill, parsley, and beautiful mint. This is totally ready, and I'm about to stuff my first tomato. You don't want to overstuff it, you don't want to pack it in there because the rice will expand a little bit. I'm just going to finish stuffing these, and then I have a little surprise with the filling that's going to be left over. My surprise. Grape leaves. These are really easy, a lot easier than you might think. You want to add a heaping teaspoon, teaspoon and a half of filling. And keep in mind, I want you to notice how I laid down the leaf. Vein side up, so that when you roll it, the smooth side's on the outside. You want to fold in the sides. And then just roll this up and tuck in the edges of the leaf as you go, so that it rolls up nice and evenly. And voila, a really easy stuffed grape leaf. I'm just gonna start laying this down. I'm gonna fill the rest of these gaps with potatoes, because there's nothing that tastes better than a potato that's been roasted with all the pan juices. A little bit of salt, especially over the potatoes. Extra virgin Greek olive oil. This is, after all, one of the great, what we call lavera dishes in Greek, olive oil dishes. And last but not least, I'm gonna cover my peppers and tomatoes. These are ready to go into the oven. I always cover my stuffed peppers and tomatoes. These are gonna bake at 350 for about an hour to an hour and a half. These have rested now for about an hour. They're at room temperature, which is the best way to eat them. Oh, this looks so good and juicy. I have to try a little bit of this. Which is so wonderful. It's beautifully sweet from the raisins and all those great herbs. The rice has cooked perfectly. It's really tender. The tomato is still juicy, but it has that wonderful kind of a blistery, almost charred, smoky flavor. This dish is the essence of the Greek Mediterranean diet.